This morning to Blockchain for Business Breakfast. This is day 4 of our Block Party 1 series of events. It's the first time that we've done these and it's been really successful so far. We're actually live streaming this on Facebook Live as well, and all the other events that we've had so far this week are also on the Facebook page. So if you weren't able to come to any of the events Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then just go to the Blockchain Centre Facebook page and you'll be able to watch the videos from those events. Great. So yeah, we do have social media channels, so if you'd like to sort of help our exposure about what we do at the centre, we have a Facebook page which is at the Blockchain Centre. We also have a Twitter account which is Blockchain CTR, Instagram page, and we also have a LinkedIn page. Now the Talk and Trade group, which is a community-focused Bitcoin and cryptocurrency meetup group, which is held every Wednesday here at the Blockchain Centre. If you are on WeChat, if you scan that QR code, then that will give you an invitation to join the group. Or if you want to just take a photo of this slide now, and then you can always join the group at a later stage. So William Saunders and Matt Harry are the co-organisers of the Talk and Trade group on a Wednesday, and they're around today as well. So ask to speak to Will or Matt, they can help you get signed up to the group. Okay, cool. A little bit about the Blockchain Centre. So just out of interest, show of hands, who has been here before? Who has been here before? Okay, great, about 90%. Cool. Okay, well, so Blockchain Centre is a co-working space focused on Bitcoin and blockchain technology. We've been here since November 2014. And if you do have a startup or you are looking for a co-working space, you can come down for free on a Monday. But we also do very reasonable rates when it comes to co-working membership. So our full-time rate, which gives you 24-hour access, unlimited coffee, use of all of the resources that we have here, like the bookable meeting rooms and the podcast studio, which we actually have behind you there, and it's called Crypto Studios. We also have an outside barbecue balcony area, obviously the event space. So quite a lot of resources or value that the co-workers get here. But the real value of what we're trying to provide is access to our networks. So we've been here for 3 years now. Blockchain Global, which is the main corporate sponsor of the space and the anchor tenant, is probably the most profitable Bitcoin blockchain company in Australia to date. So very successful Bitcoin mining operations. We have a corporate consultancy division, and we also invest in startups, and we also co-investment into ACX.io, which is Australia's largest Bitcoin and cryptocurrency trading exchange, offering liquidity to the local market. So quite a hub of innovation here, and if you are looking at doing a business in the Bitcoin or blockchain space, then hopefully this is the place you want to be. So we have some meetup groups as well that you can join. Blockchain Centre has about over 1,500 members now. It's really growing quite quickly. Blockchain Melbourne, which has been around for a while, I co-organised with Alan Sen, who's the GM of Stone and Chalk. He's done so much for the space over the last few years. So Blockchain Melbourne events don't only happen here, they happen in other places around Melbourne. And Hyperledger Melbourne, we've had a couple of really successful events. 2 guest speakers from IBM, Matt Lucas from the CTO office in Europe early on in the year, and just recently Nitin Gore, who's the global director for IBM Blockchain Labs, was here as well, and they were really successful events. So please do sign up to those events or the meetup pages. Cool. So it's the first time that we're doing this Blockchain Super Week. It was the brainchild of William Saunders, who's the founder of Global BTC White Label Exchanges. So if you want to know more about what Will does and any other great ideas he's got for future events, make sure you sort of track him down this morning. But in order to pay for the food and the event space next door, we've actually had some sponsorship this week. So I'll just say a couple of words about our sponsors. So CoinStop is Australia's leading cryptocurrency hardware wallet provider, and they're authorised resellers of both Ledger and Trezor, which is 2 of the leading hardware wallet manufacturers in the world. So their website is coinstop.com.au. Out of interest, who here has cryptocurrency? Okay, that's a lot. And who here has a hardware wallet? less than a third. Okay, cool. So if you do own cryptocurrency, then they are sitting on an exchange, or if they're on a web wallet or mobile wallet, they are potentially more vulnerable than what they would be on a offline solution or on a hardware wallet. So if you are, if you do have any of your investment into cryptocurrency, you really should educate yourself on the best way to store that, because we obviously wouldn't want to lose that unnecessarily. Okay, cool. So coinstock.com.au, and they were very generously donated a Trezor wallet yesterday and raised $170 for the Big Umbrella Foundation. So that was really good of the guys to do that. Indorse, who did a presentation on Tuesday night, so they're a decentralized professional network powered by Ethereum technology, and they're a reliable channel to get your skills endorsed and showcase them. So it's a network that lets you own your data and monetize your activity. Their website's indorse.io. So if you think about how LinkedIn works, where I often get notifications on LinkedIn saying, would I like to endorse somebody for a skill that they have? And maybe I like that person, or maybe I'm indifferent to that person. That might make a judgment on whether I want to endorse them or not. The way Indorse works is it's more randomised, so it's quite a innovative idea. Blockchain Global is, we just mentioned before, it's an Australian leading Bitcoin and blockchain investment company, and it's the main sponsor of the Blockchain Centre. You can visit their website, blockchainglobal.com. ACX, Australia's leading cryptocurrency exchange.
It's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock, everybody. That's Kate. She has a British English accent. She tells me the time on the hour. Okay, so acx.io, and we also have flyers. So if you want to grab a $10 flyer there, and when you create an account with ACX, you'll get $10 credited to your account to be able to buy Bitcoin, to be able to buy something or move to a wallet you control. Hcash is a relatively new project which recently did an ICO. Most of the investment came from China. The website is h.cash, and it's a decentralized and open source cross-platform cryptocurrency. And Norn is a new AI-infused smart business system currently under development, and you can find out more information by visiting their website, which is nornear.io. And you're welcome to sort of grab the details of those businesses there off of the banners that are on display just here. Also, I want to give a thanks to IBM. Recently came on board as a sponsor for the Blockchain Centre. It was our first corporate sponsor over and above Blockchain Global. So it's been great to have them as part of the community, and they offer developer resources to our startup community. And this is the infrastructure that powers ACX. So ACX actually uses the IBM infrastructure, which is good stuff. Okay, so we've been raising money for the Big Umbrella, so that all the events have been free this week, but we've managed to raise quite some decent amount of money so far for the Big Umbrella. So they help homeless people in Melbourne, and they actually had their 7th anniversary yesterday as well. And Justin, the founder, gave a short introduction to what they do on Tuesday night. And there's some stats about the Big Umbrella. They've reclaimed 218 tonnes of food over the last 7 years. So it's great to be able to help out a social responsibility partner, Big Umbrella. And this is how much we've raised so far from the event. So 400 on Monday, 600 on Tuesday, and another 600 yesterday. So that's a total of $1,600 we've raised so far for the Big Umbrella. So thanks very much for all your donations to help them. Cool, so moving on to the main event for this morning, which is Blockchain for Business with Tim Dean. He represents Blockchain Consulting Group. So I will now pass the microphone over to Tim, and he's going to go through some slides with you now. So is there a Tim Dean in the house? Excellent.
Morning all, thanks for coming to our early morning session. I just want to give you a bit of a brief overview of my take on the blockchain business applications. There's been a lot of talk in recent times about blockchain and how it's impacting and will impact on business in the future. And I think there's a lot of excitement in the industry about the opportunities that blockchain is going to present, but also the challenges. And I think one of the big areas for all of us to work on is the concept of collaboration. There's so many areas that blockchain will impact on but it's going to need a lot of collaboration from the people who are involved in the process to actually get products and optimize and maximize the use out of blockchain. About a year ago, blockchain conversations were limited to a few within the working space, but now there's so many more people talking about blockchain. It's becoming very topical, and there's a selection of headlines that have come up through the newspapers, the TV. Blockchain is transforming business models. A 3% boost to GDP from blockchain is a real possibility. So I think the vibe that is happening out there is really positive, and people are seeing that there's an opportunity for blockchain to transform a lot of the things that we are experiencing in the world today. People are saying that it's basically it's the equivalent of the internet, the evolution of the internet. So I think there's a lot of excitement and future and opportunity. A lot of this discussion is not just related to fintech, and we've seen blockchain technology gain interest from multiple industries. So if you look at the chart here, fintech was really the area of interest, but now the actual blockchain interest has actually become far greater. So what does that mean? That basically means that blockchain is seen going beyond just fintech. It's going into other areas, pharmaceuticals, supply chain, all of those sorts of issues are becoming more and more prevalent. So initial investment was focused within Bitcoin and the financial blockchain startups, and more recently greater investments come from financial services. And obviously financial services are very concerned about the impact that blockchain is going to potentially have on its business. Typically as an intermediary, financial services are really looking to harness the power of blockchain and to still be relevant in the whole blockchain scenario. So blockchain replaces authority with cryptography. It allows exchange of value in a secure and trusted environment without the involvement of an intermediary. So what it's doing, it's taking away the role of an intermediary. So as an example, in real estate, typically the estate agent is the intermediary between the buyer and the seller, and potentially what blockchain will enable to happen is to bypass that intermediary by going directly between the buyer and the seller, creating a contract and not having recourse to an intermediary. You can look at that and apply that to various other areas. Share purchasing. If I want to buy a share from you, we can make a transaction between ourselves rather than going through a broker. So this is where blockchain becomes a very powerful vehicle, and it's going to transform a lot of the traditional ways that we conduct business today. You can look at population, for example, voting. Voting can be done without the need to go to a voting booth. You can actually go directly by using the blockchain. You can go cast your vote directly into the voting areas, so you don't have to go through a booth. So that takes away that intermediary. And if you just look at this chart here, there's a range of other areas where blockchain can actually take away the influence of intermediaries and the need for intermediaries. So if we start just having a bit of a look at the history of Bitcoin and blockchain, 2009, Bitcoin was established. It's a peer-to-peer electronic cash that allows online payments between parties without going through a financial institution. So from a financial institution point of view, alarm bells, and this is one of the reasons why financial institutions are so engaged in the whole aspect of where blockchain fits in with their business models, what it's going to do and how it's going to impact on their business and future. And later on there's a slide which will show that the banks are actively engaged in working to find ways that they can have blockchain as part of their offering. In 2011, the blockchain was basically established to allow the implementations that include Bitcoin, metacoins and alt blockchains such as Ethereum, and obviously there's more blockchains being established all the time. There's NEM, which is another blockchain which Blockchain Global has a close association with. So there's not just one blockchain, there's a series of blockchains, and it's really working with those particular blockchains to find which is the most appropriate blockchain to enable an application to work. In 2015, the distributed database that contains blocks of time-stamped transactions linked together in a continuous chain. So the evolvement of the blockchain as a technology is getting bigger and bigger. Benefits of blockchain. Decentralization through blockchain can provide many benefits and impacts the fundamental process and business models that exist today. So I've already mentioned it removes intermediaries. So it allows industries to redefine or create new business models that replace authority with cryptography. So that's a pretty powerful comment in terms of the impact that will have, because there are so many, if you think about it in your day-to-day business activities, there are so many intermediaries that are involved in business, and these are the ones that are potentially going to be moved aside to use blockchain applications. The second area reduces fraud. It provides a high, secure, transparent and immutable proof of provenance for historical records. Just by way of background, my experience, most of my working experience is in the pharmaceutical industry, and fraud in the pharmaceutical industry is enormous through basically counterfeit products. So people are making counterfeit products, claiming that it's an original. It is a global problem which has an impact. The figure is actually $200 billion a year are used in, is basically the problem with counterfeit drugs. That's the financial problem. The people problem is that it kills over 1 million people who use counterfeit drugs. So there's a huge issue. Blockchain can actually be, it's not the whole solution, but can make a significant inroad into reducing the level of counterfeit products, but also reducing the level of deaths that occur from that. Blockchain increases efficiency and speed. It simplifies how transactions are stored and removes the need for back office reconciliation. Again, part of my background is I'm an accountant by training, so I know the whole issue around reconciliations, back office reconciliations, which are an absolute pain in the bum. And I think one of the things that blockchain will enable us to do is to really have an understanding of how transactions can be validated without the need for subsequent reconciliation. And it increases savings and revenues. New revenue opportunities come through the long tail of high volume products at lower transaction values. So again, blockchain has an impact. So it's impacting on a number of areas where our traditional business is currently. Challenges for us. We have uncertain regulatory environments. Standardization and legal frameworks are a challenge. So we're really at the forefront of the, I suppose, this evolution of blockchain. The regulators, governance, all of that is still really catching up to where we're at. So it's not quite the Wild West, but there's a lot of areas that we operate in which are just doesn't have enough structure, and that will come and is coming, and we're very aware of that, and that's something that we're Blockchain Global as a company, when we're doing work with our clients, we're very conscious of making sure that we're taking into account the changes that will come, and certainly from a legal, taxation, compliance perspective, these are going to be issues that we're faced with. Blockchain it's an interesting area because we're really at the forefront of this wave. It's basically a wave of activity that's happening. So there's a lot of announcements, there's proof of concepts, and there's pilots. You'll see that there's nothing in implementation and full production. So we're really moving, finding our way through what are the most appropriate areas that we can use blockchain in, where's it going to show us the most benefits, understanding what the pitfalls are. And I think the other key thing for my perspective, and I spoke about it briefly earlier on, is really about getting the collaborations happening. So if I take my pharmaceutical hat and I look at the people that I would need to deal with, it's not only the pharmaceutical company, the blockchain developer, which would be ourselves, it will be a regulator, it will be a distributor, it will be a government department who's actually funding this. So there really has to be an engagement and collaboration with a lot of people. And I was chatting to my friend from IBM a few minutes ago, and this is one of the things that we're looking to do, is to work out who are the right people to bring together, go through the proof of concept, get a pilot, prove that pilot, and then start into full production. So this is a journey. This is not going to just be an event, and I think this will evolve over a period of time. There are a lot of people out there who are taking the approach that we'll let someone else do it. We'll sit back and wait for someone else to go through the pain. So those are the typical late adopters. We see ourselves as the trailblazers, and with trailblazing there's associated risks, but that's the exciting part as well. I'm sure you've all had a bit of a look. Supply chain, it doesn't matter what business you're in, supply chain is really ripe for putting onto a blockchain. There's so many areas where we can improve efficiencies, we can stop errors happening, identify deficiencies, and obviously stop fraud as well. Medical records, again, close to my heart. When you look at a hospital system, in a typical hospital, there's probably 10 to 15 different systems all trying to talk to each other. It's just a mess, absolute mess. And when you talk to a specialist like a heart surgeon, he has to gather data and information about that particular patient from 4 or 5 different systems. It makes a nightmare for them to actually perform their task adequately and professionally. So it's something, again, that blockchain can make a significant contribution to. I think that's enough on that. Many, many, many more examples of blockchain and smart contract usage that can be explored and are being explored by startups and industry alike. Again, I won't go through this. You can read that yourselves. I mean, there's applications in every industry, every discipline within those industries as well. So there's a big list, and it's really one of the challenges for all of us is to work out where do we start, and we've started with a number of initiatives that, particularly with my coming on board to Blockchain Global, we're focusing on the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. Those industries it's an interesting one because they've got deep pockets, but they're very slow movers. So for them to embrace and adopt changes as fundamental as blockchain is a challenge, but they know that the opportunities are there and they know that they need to embrace it. And it's our challenge to engage with the early movers, the progressive thinkers, for those, and then for us to form those teams to work through the opportunity and to create a product that we can get into the market. So in summary, blockchain has a significant role and future in business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I must qualify that rather. Not every major database needs to go into a blockchain. We really have to be, blockchain is not the solution to everything. We really have to make sure that we define the need and the requirement for that blockchain and the benefits that we're going to derive from it. So it's not that everything that's on a database today needs to be put onto a blockchain. It's not as simple and fundamental as that. So we really have to be mindful of what we're engaging in and making sure that, as again, I come back to collaboration. When we collaborate, whether it's within a company or within an industry, that we're actually identifying a problem that lends itself to be solved and addressed by the blockchain. Recent examples in Australia, CrossBorder Payments. The NAB transferred $10 across the world from one employee's account to another in Canada. The process took 10 seconds. So banks are involved. They're in it. They understand that they have to be in this. Trade finance, Commonwealth Bank and Wells Fargo announced that they're testing blockchain, completed the first cross-border transaction between banks for a shipment of cotton from China bound to the US. So again, real life, it's happening. Again, trial, very small pilot, proof of concept. Now it's going to start rolling through, and I know that a lot of the banks are investing really heavily into the whole blockchain technology. Hotel bookings, Webjet have got a partnership with Microsoft, and again, it's a decentralized distributed ledger in hotel bookings, secured on the blockchain. Again, it's one of those things where if you arrive at a hotel and they don't know that your booking's there, it's one of the, and blockchains are able to share the data of bookings right the way across the Webjet network. So it's quite a powerful tool for them. The Blockchain Centre, Martin's already had a few minutes on that, but we are the home of blockchain startups in Melbourne. That's what we do. That's our expertise, and we've got a growing. This is a slightly dated slide. Martin's agreeing with that. So our blockchain community is
over 3,000 now across the 3 different meetup groups.
There you go. So it's expanding, and in the very short space of time that I've been with Blockchain Global, we used to host our meetings here. A lot of our meetings are next door because we can't put 200 people in here. So the level of interest is increasing. The opportunities for engagement are getting greater and greater. And then you have a week long of blockchain type events, which again just starts fueling that conversation amongst people who are interested. There's more than 15 startup businesses, so we obviously engage in helping businesses to start up, and we co-invest. Much more than 121 events, Martin?
A lot of events, yeah.
A lot of events, and more than 72 cups of coffee. So we're growing. It's an exciting place. It's vibrant. It's dynamic. And Martin's already told you about us. So I'm happy to take some questions. Hello. Hi.
Okay. There seems to be a lot of ideas for how to do the blockchain, but to get companies invested, how expensive is it for the implementation of some of these ideas?
How long's a piece of string? I mean, it really depends on the complexity, and I think one of the mistakes is to try and embrace a big volume of work. I think what you'd really have to do is to take a small project, demonstrate that it's going to be effective, demonstrate the benefits, and then start rolling that out. So I know I'm not answering your question, but I think it's you know, if you want to do change the whole practice of stockbroking, you know, that'd just be huge. So it's that sort of thing. So what is the relevance of a stockbroker going to be in 5 years' time when the blockchain hits its straps, and how do you actually develop something where a stockbroker will still have relevance? I mean, it's just a massive exercise, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be something as simple as an internal blockchain, a private blockchain within a company, which allows the tracking and transactions of raw materials moving from one country to another. And that could be small. That could be, a $10,000 investment, as opposed to something which is wanting to track 20 products globally through 5,000 distributors. That would be a $2 million type investment. So I'm sucking the numbers out of my head, but it's really it's as big or as small as you want to make it. But again, coming back to the point, you have to make sure that the project that you're engaging in is in fact going to be benefited by using a blockchain application.
You mentioned before proof of providence.
Yes.
Usage in blockchain. Would you be able to elaborate or explain a bit more about how that might work, say in a counterfeit drugs, and how that would work?
Okay, so typically what will happen, and the model that's being looked at is they've got very smart RFID tags, which you can actually be put under the lid of a medicine. So if it's, let's just take a simple one. It's in a bottle. You've got a cap. There's an RFID tag can be put into the top of the cap, and that particular bottle of medication has a unique identifier, and that unique identifier follows its way all through the supply chain. So from the time it is put on the cap in the factory to the time it goes out to a distributor, and that distributor then sells into 25 countries. So you can see that the potential of a product to go into a batch of products of say 10,000 in a batch, each would have a unique identifier for those 10,000 different products. Those 10,000 products could find their way into 15,000 different locations. How do you identify that is a genuine product? So all the way through the supply chain, there's the ability to scan that product coming in to identify that it's a genuine product coming in, that it's not counterfeit. And then once that product's received in, the next part of the sale is made going out, and that's when the ownership passes. The tracking of that particular product goes from the person receiving, goes out to the next person in the supply chain, which might be a retailer. The retailer then is able to scan, receive the goods in, identify that it's a genuine product, and the ownership then passes through to them. And then finally, the end user, who might be a person in Yugoslavia, they will have an app which they're able to use to scan the bottle of medication that they've just purchased, and then identify that that's a genuine product. So that's the whole provenance thing, is to really identify all the way through the supply chain that the product that you are getting is a genuine product. And you can apply that with they've started looking at things like artwork. Are you buying a Rembrandt and you buy it at an auction, but is it the genuine Rembrandt? So they're able to, the blockchain is able to log the ownership of various assets all the way through the supply chain and prove ownership. And that's the key thing, is actually proving ownership, but also proving originality, that it's not a counterfeited product or fraudulent product.
But they're doing that currently at the moment. So what I don't understand is that blockchain's meant to completely re-engineer the environment, but pharmaceutical companies have been doing this for a couple of years. Pfizer's a prime example in that even the blue chip technology that's out there in the current market, they're doing that at the moment. They're applying it to the top of their Pfizer specific medication, and they track it all the way through to actually the consumer, because the consumer has to provide the pharmacists with their Medicare number, and they marry that RFID against the Medicare number.
Yep.
So to the actual individual level, they know what drugs you're taking, they know how many drugs you're taking, because obviously with a subscription that you go back. So what's blockchaining going to do that's going to upset that current environment?
Look, I think maybe Pfizer, I don't know specifically about Pfizer's activities, but Pfizer may have already, and I know that there's been a lot of activity in some of the big top 20 pharmaceutical companies looking at blockchain. So they may very well have embraced some blockchain technology in there already.
But that's not blockchain. So that's a different technology that runs parallel to blockchaining. And that's an internal system that they've produced themselves, so they own the intellectual property. But
So,
you can only move as fast as what the product can move.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I can understand the blockchaining concept, but I can understand there's already stuff going on at the moment outside of blockchaining. And I think one of the biggest things we're forgetting, the gorilla in the room, is that if you look at the accounting industry, which you commented, let's take out artificial intelligence at the moment, but a lot of people form relationships with their accountants. So, you know, the back of the back of the systems of doing your financial accounts is also the relationship you have with your accountant and with your stockbroker. Blockchaining can't provide you advice on should I be buying Combank shares today instead of waiting, you know, further down the track. Or
It sounds like you've been to our blockchain masterclass.
I have. But yeah, so I hear you, and I believe it may re-engineer the world, but I think it will re-engineer the world with a particular stream. I don't think it's going to be the new process management software.
Sure.
So again, you know, please enlighten me.
So just to answer your first question, I think a reduction in costs, because these centralized systems are expensive and have been custom built with in-house programmers. So blockchain is already existing technology and runs on a fraction of the cost today. The other thing is it can be verified by external sources. So you've got a company, and inside that company you have, I don't know, what's the word?
Would you mind coming up here, Paul? Is that okay?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
because we can get that on the microphone
Sure.
for the Facebook then,
Sure.
and maybe if you're able, if you can just stand here, so then we get the microphone. And can you just repeat the question? Would you mind that? This is Paul, by the way, and he's recently started working with Blockchain Global.
Completely forgotten the question. Everything I'm saying to people is that normal way. So yeah, a reduction in cost, and outside the company, it can be verified by external sources, and that can be trusted. So that source maybe is an auditor, and that auditor doesn't have to go inside the company. It can do it from anywhere in the world and say, this is blockchain, it's unhackable, we can trust that source. So in the end of the day, probably all it will do is stay in the back end. It's not going to replace the guy in the front, but it's going to make the back end cheaper and faster and verifiable by external sources. I hope that answers your question.
So I suppose the key question is going to be is that this is just a business process re-engineering.
Yeah, you're not going to see.
So
you're not going to be
key
talking
driver
to
is
a
going be cost
blockchain.
savings that companies are going to get.
Yeah, huge cost savings. And in the back end of the back office, a lot of people disappear. But the front office, you're always going to be talking to a person. Maybe they'll be talking to a blockchain or interacting with AI. Who knows? Yeah.
Great answer. Thanks very much, Paul. That's excellent. Cool. Okay. Any other questions?
I've got a question. Just basically, I'm Jeff. Hi.
Hi, Jeff.
And it's about music. I spent 15 years in the music industry, and now am investing in crypto. So it's really
There's a connection.
but during the 90s, and particularly around the late 90s, I saw the immense devaluing of music through, MP3 and distribution. And yeah, it was happening when people were distributing cassettes and things like that.
Yeah.
But I see, and I don't know if I'm way off mark, potential for blockchain and using unique identifiers or distribution of albums or whatever through the blockchain, so that people understand, or that they're getting a genuine product, or how do you see that relating to digital files and things like that?
Because that's happening already, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously none of what you see here today is investment advice in any way, shape or form, but there is a project that's happening right now where they are doing a token sale to raise funds for this project called Veredictum. Tim Lee is the founder. He's based out of Sydney, very active in the blockchain community, and he's an independent filmmaker. So I don't know if this sort of maybe ties in with your question.
It does.
So the idea of the provenance again of the original IP or the rights of the file using blockchain technology. So he's someone that's got a lot of experience in the industry, and being an independent filmmaker, there is an issue with counterfeit or copy, illegal downloads and what have you.
Disrupting the streaming industry for music, and and allowing even single artists just to distribute their music, but without it being copied and just devalued.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So check out Veredictum. So Tim's actually done a road show around the world interviewing people about ICOs. So it's kind of used that not only his own business idea, but also this idea of funding through ICOs and tokens. So he's produced a lot of content. So very informative, and it seems like it's a really good use case for blockchain technology. Cool. Any other questions from anyone before we're on? I've just gone 9:30 now. Is there anything that you wanted to finish on, Tim, at all? How can people maybe get in contact with you? Or?
Look, if people want to have a discussion with me, I'm happy to hang around for a while afterwards, and come up and have a chat to me, and we can swap some details.
Okay, great. Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Tim.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, brilliant. So we'll just finish off with a couple of community notices, if I may. So I don't know if Jason Lee is here this morning, but Jason Lee's works with the Blockchain Centre and also Blockchain Global on our overseas partnerships and global strategy. He's also one of the co-organisers for Intersect Festival, which is Australia's first fintech festival at towards the end of November there. Jason is also the co-founder of Next Money, which has many different community meetup chapters around Asia. And so the Bitcoin and blockchain obviously is being used as a fintech financial technology, and we're close supporters of FinTech Australia. We actually held an after party for their Collab Collide FinTech conference last year, and we will be involved with their events at the end of October. So we like to support the great work that FinTech Australia do to kind of advocate for financial technology startups in Australia. So please come along to that event there. And we are, I touched on this before, blockchain masterclass, cryptocurrency investing masterclass, and initial coin offering masterclasses. So this is something that we just started last month, and they were pretty much sold out, the top two masterclasses. So we're going to be running these each month. They're just $100. For that you get, it's a 90-minute workshop, interactive workshop. You get $20 of Bitcoin to take away with you as well, with our partner ACX.io, and then there's also some food and some drinks provided as well. So it goes on for about 2 hours from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. And we've actually got the author of the training material here this morning. David, would you like to say a couple of words maybe about maybe your experience, because you've only recently joined the community, right? So. Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. There you go. And then if you just hold this like that. Great.
All right. Hi, I'm the Global Blockchain Education Director for Blockchain Center. So we've developed these masterclasses because obviously there's a lot of interest that has been increasing recently, I think, and we've got some people who have already attended. So it's very good for people who you've got a little bit of idea, but you can't really put everything together. And we've really designed the courses in a way to give you a very broad overview, but also to let you know what else you need to look into. So it doesn't answer everything, but it at least gives you a good start into what you need to do, what you need to read up more on, and what are perspectives. So I would always suggest, even if you're interested in cryptocurrency investing and ICO investing, to always go for the blockchain masterclass, because you can't invest in something you don't understand. So the blockchain masterclass is to give you a very good overview and understanding of the technology, so that once you get into crypto or ICOs and all the other things, that's a very good place to begin. All right, so Martin runs the blockchain masterclass, and Matt Harry at the back. Matt, can you give a wave? He runs the crypto and ICO investing masterclass. So really encourage you guys to sign up.
Great, thanks very much, David. Yeah, brilliant. And I should have said that David's now joined us as our Global Blockchain Education Director. So we are rolling out blockchain centres around the world, starting with KL in Malaysia, in collaboration with the NEM Foundation. Also in Shanghai, I'm flying over to Shanghai for October to open up the centre there as well. And it's been great, the interest that we've had from many countries around the world to replicate what we've done here in Melbourne. So go Melbourne. Excellent. Okay, so we've actually got one more event this week for the Block Party 1 Super Week, and that is the Bull Pit, which is tomorrow evening. It's a 24-hour crypto trading tournament. So if any of you are into trading the different alternative currencies on the different exchanges that are out there, then it should be good fun. A chance to prove your skills if you think you're good enough. It will be registrations will be from 6 p.m. tomorrow here, and then it will commence at 7 p.m. The website is thebullpit.cash. That's the website. Or you can register via the meetup page and the Eventbrite page as well. And we've actually just locked in some live entertainment as well. So we've got a DJ that will be here playing as well tomorrow night. Hopefully it won't be too loud at 3 a.m. in the morning. We don't want to get into trouble. So that should be a really good, fun way to wrap up a series of events this week, which has been really successful. Okay, Will is. Can I just introduce to Will, everybody? This is Will. So the Block Party 1 Super Week was Will's brainchild. It was a shower thought, I do believe, and you only had the idea literally like 4 weeks ago, right? And it's been fantastic. A lot of work, but it's been great fun. Okay, anything else there, Will? No, excellent. So you're welcome to stick around and obviously have a chat with Tim. Matt's here as well. He can tell you a little bit about Cloudbreak assets. So we've got some key stakeholders in the community and from a business perspective here this morning. So please make use of the opportunity. And I'll wrap up now. And thanks very much for coming. Okay, cheers.